Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the What's New in PLUMgrid ONS 3.0 Channel Partner webcast. I would like to start off with a bit of housekeeping. First, we will be recording this session and sharing it with our channel partners after the event. All of our guests are on mute during this session, so if you have any questions, please use the Q&A window typically located to the right of your screen. We'll be taking breaks throughout the presentation to address any questions that you might have. So without further ado, I present to you our PLUMgrid hosts, Valentina Alaria, Head of Product and Solutions Marketing, and Asmir Mohammed, Senior Director of Products. Valentina is going to kick off this session by walking us through today's agenda. Valentina?
We're going to start with introducing the Outbound PLUMgrid team. So you have a reference point for all the different activities and responsibilities within the team. We're then going to go into PLUMgrid ONS 3.0 and cover what is new, what we're introducing, and what we're going to be talking about next week during the launch. Give you a quick update on Ignition, just a recap of what we're doing there, an update around training and the upcoming events. And then in the last and kind of second part of the webcast, we're going to cover each new feature in the ONS 3.0 and 3.1 release in a little more detail. So before we get started, I wanted to start from the team, and I wanted to capture it here so you all have a reference of who does what. And so, kind of two main teams that are interacting with our channel partners. Wendy's team, which is responsible for everything product management and marketing, and Kash's team, which obviously is responsible for everything sales and business development. And those are, kind of the individuals who are responsible for each functional area for your reference. And obviously there is many more people that are going to be interacting with you and providing valuable support. But any problem that you have or any requirement or anything that needs our attention, those are reference people for you. And I'll make sure we add actually the email addresses to all of those so you have them in this slide here. So the core of this presentation is around ONS 3.0 and what's in the release and what we're going to be launching next week. Obviously, all the information that we're going to discuss tonight are PLUMgrid confidential. The launch is planned for middle of next week on April 8th, and obviously it's very sensitive information that should not be shared outside of this audience. So before we talk about the specifics of ONS 3.0, I'm going to hand it over to Asmir, who runs our product management. And Asmir is going to walk us through kind of the methodology and structure of PLUMgrid releases and how we're changing the deliveries moving forward. Asmir, to you.
Thanks, Valentina. So hopefully I can summarize here our new strategy around the product. So at a high level, we want to align our open networking suite release schedule to that of OpenStack. OpenStack releases twice a year. There's a release that comes out in Q2, roughly around late April or early May. And then another release that comes out in Q4 around late October, early November. And what we want to go do is to be able to release a major ONS release within weeks of an OpenStack release, and then carry that major release through minor and maintenance releases through a 2 to 3 quarter period, and then repeat that same sequence for the next release. So at any given time, you'll have 2 major releases active from PLUMgrid. Just to give some second order detail, a major release again is tied to the OpenStack release. For example, you see here in Q2, we'll have a major release coming out to match against Kilo, and then we'll also be able to deliver new features in that major release or in a minor release. And then the maintenance releases are generally bug fixes. So what obviously you'll notice is ONS 3.0 is slightly late. It should have arrived in Q1 But what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick turn. We're going to release ONS 3.0 and then quickly turn around at the Vancouver Summit and also announce our next releases. So again, that's, as Valentina said, confidential, but hopefully this gives you a good idea of what to expect from PLUMgrid relative to releases and how we're trying to align with the OpenStack ecosystem. So with that, Valentina, I'll pass it back to you, and then maybe we'll pick up questions later on.
Perfect. Thanks, Asmir. Within the framework that Asmir described today, obviously what we are announcing next week is our ONS 3.0 release. So it's a major release for us, which includes Juno support and lots of very interesting and important features for our customers. So without further ado, let's jump into the release. So this is the core of our launch next week. The tagline is going to be around bringing operational simplicity to OpenStack networking. We're going to be introducing 5 fundamental new, bucket of features. So starting from the top, the start of the release and the launch is going to be PLUMgrid Toolbox. So PLUMgrid Toolbox is a suite of operational and monitoring tools that are helping the cloud operator obviously deploy, operate, and maintain an OpenStack network environment. And we're going to talk more about it, but we're introducing 8 new PLUMgrid tools. PLUMgrid Toolbox tools as part of this announcement. Some of those tools were already available in the maintenance releases for the 2.x train, but this comprehensive suite becomes available with the 3.0 release. The second new feature that will become available with the 3.x release train, it's a brand new dynamic router distributed virtual network function. And so as you and some of you are familiar with, we have had for a very long time our static router distributed VNF. And we're now introducing this new dynamic router VNF, which is going to obviously greatly improve the operational simplicity of running and deploying virtual domains, now without the need of actually having to go and manually configure routes within the virtual domain. And on top of that, obviously, the ability to have virtual routers peer with routers within the physical infrastructure. So this is a brand new VNF, and I know something that customers have been, certainly, seeking and asking for. We see, lots of use cases and applications for it. The third key feature is around enhancements for high availability. And so as you're familiar with, we have had, director cluster high availability for the longest time, since pretty much the product was first introduced. And then with the 2.x train, we introduced active software gateway support. With the 3.x release, we're pleased to announce that we're going to have active hardware gateway support. So whenever we integrate with a hardware VTAP device, for example, so far we've been, integrating and testing with Arista hardware VTAP capable switches. Those can now be configured in an active configuration. So obviously, once more, bringing operational readiness to OpenStack networking with, high availability for the hardware gateway as well. Now, we'll certainly go into more details later. The fourth bucket is around our service insertion architecture, where we're making and bringing some enhancements from workflow and user interface support. As some of you might be familiar, our service insertion architecture is a powerful component of our solution that enables us to augment the functionality that is present within a virtual domain, not just with PLUMgrid VNFs, but with, in general, third-party components. Third-party components that can provide network or security services, and whose form factor can vary from virtual appliances to physical appliances to container-based components. So we'll, again, cover this in more details in the deep dive section. And last but not least, kind of the fifth pillar of this launch, it's going to be our integration and certification with RHEL OSP 6. So this is Red Hat OpenStack platform version 6, meaning that this is their support for Juno. And so we have completed the integration so that we are, part of, once more, we have the ability to fully automate the installation of PLUMgrid ONS on top of RHEL OSP. And we've also fully completed the certification of PLUMgrid ONS with RHEL OSP. So the launch next week is going to, concentrate on those 5 pillars and obviously, explain to customers how throughout, through these 5 components, we really help in, speeding up and simplifying operationally the deployment and, configuration and maintenance of an OpenStack networking component, making it production ready, making it highly available, making it extremely easy to, operate. If there's questions, please feel free to post them in the Q&A window so we can address them as we move along. So as part of the launch, as I said, we are introducing multiple components and multiple features. What I wanted to do here was to map the feature availability back to, and there's a typo here, this is obviously GA, back to the releases. And so today, actually yesterday at this point, because it's past midnight here, yesterday we officially released for general consumption PLUMgrid ONS 3.0. And these include support for RHEL OSP 6 and certification, as well as PLUMgrid Toolbox. So all 8 tools that are part of PLUMgrid Toolbox are available with ONS 3.0. PLUMgrid ONS 3.1, the GA is planned for second half of April. And this release, which is a minor release, will include the dynamic router VNF, active-active hardware gateway support, as well as our enhanced service insertion architecture. So this helps to map the features to the specific release. Obviously, next week, we're just going to announce ONS 3.0, and we're going to talk about all the features and functionality that will become available with the 3.x train. The marketing team has been extremely busy in the past few weeks, building lots of new collaterals, and you'll also see pretty fundamental updates that are going to go into the website. But in terms of collaterals, there's 6 new collaterals that are coming out from a marketing perspective. So we have a new high availability white paper. It's a technical white paper that goes into details of all the components of our highly available system solution. So it covers the director cluster HA, it covers the edge HA, as well as the gateway HA. So it's a very comprehensive and detailed white paper that is going to become available. It's going to be available on the website, as well as it's going to be made available to you partners. And I'm going to cover that in a second, how we make those collaterals available for your consumption. The second technical white paper that will become available is the hardware VSAP white paper. Similarly to the previous one, this goes into the level of details in terms of what is a hardware VSAP and how we support it and how we support an active-active configuration. So a great piece of collateral for your customers. The third collateral, it's a feature brief. So this is a shorter, kind of a 2-pager piece of collateral that can be used with customers to explain how we automate the deployment, configuration, and teardown of our virtual domains through our API layer. So this is obviously something that is becoming critical for lots of our customers. They want to understand how the solution can be automated. They obviously want to learn how to use it, leveraging OpenStack, dashboard, and PLUMgrid UI, but we all know that once they move to production, that's where the automation comes into play, and that's where they want to understand exactly how to, leverage what PLUMgrid has to bring it to their environments. The fourth component, the first collateral, it's a service insertion architecture white paper. We are in the process of finishing this up, so this is probably going to become available slightly after the launch. But the service insertion architecture white paper will cover all the different modes that service insertion offers, and it's going to be, again, another technical white paper, so pretty detailed. The fifth collateral, it's eyes on your OpenStack network. This is a feature brief covering PLUMgrid Toolbox, so the new set of tools that we are releasing. And these, again, it's kind of the highlight of the release, and it's a very helpful piece of collateral that you can hand to your customers, to show kind of comprehensively what are all the tools that make up PLUMgrid Toolbox. And last, we have now available a Mirantis joint solution brief. So Mirantis is obviously one of our distro partners, and we now have a joint solution brief available, as well as we're going to have a new updated web page that's going to host all the collaterals around Mirantis. So this is from a marketing perspective. From a product collaterals perspective, obviously, Admir and team go through a thorough update of all the content every time there's a new release, and there is user guides that get created for all the new features. So all those will be made available. And we obviously have deployment guides that cover the deployment of PLUMgrid ONS with all the distribution partners that we support. And obviously, product deck gets updated with all the new features that are becoming available with this release. So something that you've seen, we've started doing recently, we have a new dedicated channel marketing manager, Ariba, who you've probably received emails from. And Ariba is driving a very important initiative, which is making sure that all our channel partners get timely access to all the marketing and product documentation as soon as the release becomes available and the documents become available. So Ariba has created a very simple channel directory leveraging Google Drive, and she has invited all of you to this structure here. And obviously, if you have not received the invitation, or if you're having any problem accessing the content, you can either reach out to myself or to Ariba directly, and we can help you get all the collaterals that are needed. But the key idea here is to make sure that you have everything that you need from product marketing, all the localized content in a single location, and that content gets updated for you every time there's a new release and every time new collaterals get created. So everything, it's available there, and you all have credentials to access it. Ariba has been also extremely busy putting together a really nice plan for an upcoming partner portal. So that's something that is in the making, and we'll give you more updates over the next few weeks. But we are envisioning, obviously, something hosted on our website, a section dedicated to our channel partners, where we can, provide all the information and collaterals that you need related to all the releases and documentation and support. So again, this is in the making and something that will become available in the near future. So I want to briefly just cover PLUMgrid Ignition. All of you should be familiar with this program, and if not, I highly recommend that you go check it out. But this is our trial test environment, our test drive environment. We're seeing a pretty good traction with our customers, especially around our sandbox option. So this is the option for a customer to request a fully hosted virtual environment that we can spin up in a matter of few hours for them. It's a dedicated environment for 3 days. We provide training and a full-fledged test plan that they can follow to learn everything about PLUMgrid and OpenStack networking. So obviously this is pretty center and key to everything that we're doing right now. So I encourage you all to request the PLUMgrid Ignition environment and get your customers to jump on it as well. We have fully localized all the content for PLUMgrid Ignition, so all the marketing collaterals and all the videos are available also in Japanese. I also wanted to give you an update on training. We have recently started offering a training channel via the OpenStack marketplace. If you're not familiar with the marketplace, the URL is available on the slides. And this is a marketplace that is it's been built by the OpenStack Foundation, so it's part of the OpenStack.org website. And it's a place for all the vendors to offer training in specific around OpenStack. This has to be just vendor neutral OpenStack community kind of tailored training. So it's not about PLUMgrid ONS or our VNFs or how we do things, but it's much more around enabling the community and helping them learn about key concepts. So what we've been doing is we've been offering an introduction to OpenStack networking. It's a 1-hour class. It's been pretty successful, and we've been running it already a couple of times, and we're going to continue to run it. And we're also going to start offering more and more courses as time goes by, because we're seeing these as a great venue for us to obviously reach out into the community. So this is something that you can point your customers to. It's free. It's 1 hour. It's webinar based. We have different. We offer in different time zones to facilitate customers, globally to join the training channel. And we also have instructor-led training options that are available at under plumgrid.com. And some of them are built into our starter kit package. We offer a 2-day training program as part of that. But we also have the ability to build more custom options for our customers. So that's all available there, and it's specific to a distribution. So if a customer wants to get trained on PLUMgrid plus Red Hat, we can enable that. Last but not least, this is mainly Deborah and her team driving these efforts. We are participating, and obviously in some of those events we are co-participating with our channel partners in many industry events, so conferences, partner conferences. The upcoming, we're going to be next week at the Red Hat Partner Conference, OpenStack Live the week after next. We are sponsoring continuously meetups worldwide. This is very important for us. Some of those we've been co-sponsoring with our channel partners. We see meetups as a fundamental key aspect of our engagement with the community. It's a way for us to help educate the community. It's a way for us to meet those in the, they are experimenting, testing, trying, considering OpenStack. And last but not least, obviously, we are doing a lot of webinars. We have one upcoming with Mirantis that's going to be actually on the day of the launch, so on April 8th. And we're also scheduling 2 additional webinars. Deborah is working on that for the week after that are going to talk about PLUMgrid ONS 3.0, and in particular are going to cover the PLUMgrid Toolbox functionality. So we're going to share with you an email with all the information around the release, and we're also going to include the link to the registration for those 2 webinars. If you haven't seen a demo of PLUMgrid Toolbox, that's a great way for you to also get a feel for what becomes available with Toolbox. All right. So this is the first part of the presentation. I want to pause for a second and make sure that there's no questions. All right. As always, feel free to just jump in and add if there is anything. So let's jump into the second half and let's quickly cover each individual feature. Obviously, if we're going to schedule individual meetings and, more presentations on all of these topics, as you need support, as you need to understand more in depth how each feature works. But I wanted to at least touch on all of them briefly tonight so that you can get a feel for what is coming in ONS 3.0. So first and foremost, this is PLUMgrid Toolbox. And so as I mentioned earlier, PLUMgrid Toolbox is a comprehensive suite of troubleshooting and monitoring tools. What is important to understand is that differently from other tools that you might have seen being leveraged, PLUMgrid Toolbox is fully real-time. What this means is that is not reacting to failures. It's proactively detecting failures and sending alerts to the cloud operator. And also the other key component of PLUMgrid Toolbox is that it can be all the tools within PLUMgrid Toolbox can be fully automated. They can run in the background. You can automate which components you want to monitor. So it makes it extremely, simple and powerful for a cloud operator to, manage a large-scale environment. The other thing that is important to understand is that those tools are really built on and leverage fully the fact that the platform that we run on is fully distributed. That we have components running within each hypervisor. So we can provide a comprehensive view of the entire environment, but at the same time, we make it extremely simple to use them. So all of you should be familiar with the concept of the LCM, the Lifecycle Manager that we have. So the LCM is this central virtual machine that we use for deployment of the infrastructure. Well, the LCM is also where you're going to be able to run all these commands from. So imagine the ability of running something from a central location, but yet being able to collect information from this distributed infrastructure, a large-scale infrastructure that your cloud is running on top of. So that's very, very powerful, and it's something very unique to PLUMgrid. And last but not least, it's the fact that we want to make it extremely intuitive and easy to run these tools. And so, something that in the past, if you were to run tools and try to figure out, okay, is this virtual machine able to connect to this other virtual machine? Something that is extremely hard is if you have to first figure out, okay, what is the IP address of this virtual machine? Is this virtual machine sitting on this specific server? And then go and troubleshoot it. That's a lot of steps you need to go through even before you start actually troubleshooting what the issue is. So what we have done here is we've tried to design these tools so that you can just logically ask for information and say, hey, I want to access this virtual machine, and this is a generic handle that I want to use instead of IP addresses. So you see as I go through different tools, this is a very big value proposition for for what we're doing here.
Hey, Valentina, I'm going to jump in too.
Yes,
I think
please. Absolutely.
one thing that, a lot of these tools were built, effectively by PLUMgrid for our PLUMgrid field resources. So this is a lot of knowledge that we've learned in the field, and, it's very usable, both from your standpoint, which is around usability and how it's like the Linux command line, but also, we've actually seen it even in the last couple of weeks where these tools really cut down on the amount of time to narrow down a problem within the virtual network. And I think that's fairly unique. I think it really is differentiated relative to, some of the other tools that we see out there in the market, right, in this space. So, we really, I think this is something that there'll be a continued focus from PLUMgrid to invest, because we feel like this is a competitive advantage that we have relative to, some of the other players in this space.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in. That's a very important point. And I'm sure I see some of our old timers on the call. I'm sure some of you will be able to obviously provide more and more feedback as you get your hands on PLUMgrid Toolbox and start leveraging it. And see how this can help your customers and be more effective in the field troubleshooting issues as they arise before actually the environment starts falling apart. So that's the beauty of those tools. They proactively alert you of things starting to look ugly. So very quickly, I'm not going to go into all the details, but you're going to have the slides, and you're going to be able to, obviously get all the technical documentation that Azmir's team has worked on. All the user guides cover all the tools in, plenty of details. But just to give you an idea, so the first of the tools is Log Collector. So Log Collector gives you the ability to collect all logs from the LCM for all the PLUMgrid Zone components. This might seem a very trivial tool, but actually I know some of you have been in customer environments where we had to be able to collect all the logs, collect it in a timely manner, because we don't want to be in front of the customer taking 3 hours finding all the logs that are scattered in, all sort of different places and so all sort of different, directories. And so these log collector really gives you the ability to quickly kind of, one command, collect all the logs you need to troubleshoot a customer environment from all the components, and, have them all nicely organized in a structure that our engineers and customer engineers can then take and consume to, figure out what the problem is. So this is, tool number one. We actually have 7. Did I say 8? We have 7 tools. So tool number 2 is System Alerts. So what this tool gives you is the ability to automatically receive notifications from the PLUMgrid zone. And you can configure it to, give you notifications around specific virtual domains, specific VNFs. So this is very important. You're going to be able to see, let's say that, your security policy VNF is dropping packets. You can get notified for that. You can also get notified for changes in terms of component health, like, a director cluster node, physical machine is actually running out of this space. That's just one example, right? So you can get notifications so that you can actually jump in there and, take actions and detect it proactively and, react to those failures. So this is our system alerts. Status monitor, it's, it really focused on the director cluster. As you all know, the director cluster is a key component of the system. And it's, obviously, important that we are always aware of, all the services and the health of each service they're running on the director. as well as, the overall cluster health. Do we have, one node down? Do we have two nodes down? Do we have a split brain scenario? Are we in headless mode? What is going on with our director cluster? And so this is really, built around, high availability of the system, and that's what this tool, focuses on, and that's what you get alerts, the ability to immediately detect if there's any issue with the director cluster. The fourth tool, I think it's my favorite. Probably I have a couple of favorites, but this is a really neat tool. So, as you all know, when you define a virtual domain, what happens is based on where virtual machines are, what we do is we push down the virtual domain topology inside each of the edges, the IO visors, on which VMs that belong to the virtual domains live. So what you actually end up having is your virtual domain topology is going to be distributed across multiple servers where the VM are. Within that server, what you have is you have all your VNF data plane components. You have your bridge, you have your router, you have your NAT. All these data plane components live within that server. And you have your tunnels that connect one server to another server. So when something goes wrong, before the introduction of this tool, it was actually pretty complex for us to figure out, hey, these two VMs cannot ping. Where does the packet get lost? Who is dropping the packet? Is it our bridge data plane? Is it our router data plane? Is it, in the tunnel, meaning it's the fabric that it's actually dropping the packet? Is it the interface to the VM? What is it? Where is the packet getting lost? And as network operators, we're all very familiar with the ability to just run a traceroute, right? We send a traceroute command, and we see that the packet gets dropped at the specific hop in the physical infrastructure. So what we're doing with this tool is, bringing the same ability and functionality to the virtual infrastructure with the ability to run a virtual traceroute and to, very effectively determine where is the point of failure within the virtual network infrastructure or the physical network infrastructure. So this is something that, again, very effectively and quickly helps you say, okay, it's the NAT data plane that is dropping packets, or it's the tunnel, so it's a fabric problem. The other tool that, we're certainly seeing, lots of use for, it's virtual traffic dump. So this is the ability to, from the LCM, so from a central location, visualize in a kind of TCP dump style, all the live traffic information from any virtual machine or any interface within the VNI, the virtual network infrastructure. So, again, same use as TCP dump. You have a connectivity issue. Something has been misconfigured. You need to figure out who is sending packets, who is receiving packets, why things are not working the way you expect it to. This brings you that level of visibility into the VNI. So very effectively enabling you to see, what traffic is flowing in and out of any VM or any interface. The last of the tools that we have is virtual SSH. This is something that actually came from working with a customer and enabling them to operationally manage their environment. So what they wanted to be able to do was they wanted to be able to SSH into any virtual machine in their environment at regular intervals of time to verify if the virtual machines were up and running. And they wanted to be able to do so in a programmatic manner, and they wanted to be able to do so without having to maintain a mapping of virtual machine to IP address, because IP addresses might change. What if you move a VM from one virtual domain to another virtual domain? So virtual SSH gives you the ability to remotely connect to any virtual machine within any virtual domain via SSH from the LCM. And you can use static handles like UIDs or MAC addresses that are fully physical and virtual location independent. And so this really enables all the use cases that I described above in terms of being able to, automated running this, SSH check and, make sure that all the VMs are running and not have to worry about, the VM location again in the infrastructure. All right. So, one more. Sorry, I forgot about our friend Scooby-Doo, previously known as. So Zone Report, it's kind of the master of all the tools. So it runs in the background and, it tells you all the notifications around, PLUMgrid zone components and, health of the system overall. So this you can set up to, filter specific events that are relevant for your environment. And you can, set it up to send you emails on a regular interval so you can see if the environment is up and running. For all the key customers that we work with, we have these set up and, reporting constantly what the environment looks like. So it's a very, powerful tool that we leverage, quite a bit with our customers. So this concludes the tools section. I want to pause for a second and make sure there's no question here. All right, so we'll keep moving. The next feature is obviously our integration with Red Hat OpenStack 6. So as I mentioned earlier, we are, fully integrated and we've been, certified. There's a pretty strict certification process that you have to go through every time you integrate with a new OpenStack release for Red Hat. And we built support for single and multi-controller. This is on the Red Hat side. In the multi-controller one, it's configured in active standby mode. And in future maintenance releases will also enable active support. So all these, we obviously have deployment guides that Asmir's team has worked on that you can leverage to learn how to deploy PLUMgrid in conjunction with RHEL OS/2.6. So moving forward, one of our favorite topics is the hardware gateway. So obviously, as you are all familiar with, PLUMgrid supports both software and hardware gateways, and our philosophy has always been that we want to, provide flexibility to choose whatever flavor of gateway better works in your environment. And, obviously we, want to make sure that the gateways are, regardless of being, software or hardware, can be configured in HA configuration. So that there is, high availability as well as traffic distribution properties that are achieved through this. So as we discussed earlier, we are introducing support for hardware gateway high availability. As part of our integration with Arista in specific, we're now capable of supporting 2 Arista's gateways configured in active mode. So being able to spread the traffic among the physical devices. So all the configurations and all the details around the gateways are all captured in the technical documentation. There's obviously a lot of details here, so I don't want to go into more details there. But obviously everything is covered, and this is a very fundamental feature, something that customers have been asking for a long time. I know you channel partners have been asking it for a long time, so this is finally becoming available, and we're very excited about it. Obviously, this is augmenting the active software gateway that was introduced in the 2.x strain. So 2 more that we want to cover. So service insertion architecture. Some of you are familiar with this. So service insertion architecture is the ability to add additional network functions to a PLUMgrid virtual domain, thus complementing and augmenting the functionality that a customer can get through the virtual domain itself. And so what we do is we have the ability to insert third-party services, and those third-party services can, be in kind of three separate form factors. So those are three, service insertion architecture modes, as we like to describe them. So a customer can leverage a virtual appliance and insert that as part of a virtual domain. A customer can choose to leverage a physical appliance and insert that as part of the virtual domain. Or they can also use container-based service appliances. So they can spin up an appliance in the form factor of container. This can be, like C container or Docker container. And, in terms of support, we have, tested and verified, are in the process of testing and verifying with a mix of open source and commercial versions. And, really the key here is to, help customers bring up these, virtual domains, automate the creation of the virtual domains, and also automate the creation and insertion of these third-party components. So really helping them, be, extremely fast and effective in bringing new services to their own customers. So for reference, I have a couple of slides on, one slide on each of the service appliance modes. So the first one is the virtual appliance service insertion. So in this example here, you have your virtual domain topology on the top. And what we're doing here is we're leveraging a VM, so virtual appliance, to provide the load balancing functionality in this example. So what happens here is that whenever VMs need to talk to each other, or, for example, talk with the external world, they're going to go through the load balancer virtual appliance. So we're hairpinning the traffic through the virtual appliance. All these gets taken care of automatically. The customer doesn't need to know where the virtual appliance is and how to reach it. And then the traffic will, get sent to the proper PLUMgrid edge and the destination VM. So this is a very, powerful node. Now it's going to be, fully supported via OpenStack as well as our UI. So this is a big enhancement that we're bringing with ONS 3.1. And this is a very powerful and flexible node, as I was saying earlier. Lots of our customers are looking at leveraging virtual appliances. You can spin them up anywhere. We make it very easy to, connect them as part of the virtual domain in an automated way. And, this brings services to a virtual domain as needed. The second model is, similar to the previous, the virtual topology remains the same, but the services, the load balancing services, are now provided by a physical appliance. So the way that's done, if you observe the right bottom corner of this picture, is the physical appliance will be connected into a PLUMgrid gateway. This can be a physical, hardware gateway, or it can be a software gateway. Regardless of the form factor of the gateway, the virtual appliance can be the physical appliance can be inserted within a virtual domain. So the topology and the behavior looks a lot like the one we just observed for the virtual appliance. The one thing to note here is that obviously a physical appliance can serve multiple tenants. So you can carve a slice of a physical appliance per tenant based on VLAN's configuration. And this gets taken care of at the gateway level. So once more, for a customer, this can be fully automated, can be made part of the provisioning workflow, and provides these, service functionality as part of the virtual domain. The third model, it looks very similar to the virtual appliance one, but it can leverage, either Docker or LXC containers. This brings the ability to, spin up services in this, kind of new form factor, which is containers, which If you're not familiar with the beauty of containers over virtual machine is that it's a very lightweight, efficient, way of bringing up, isolated environments within the same server. So containers are obviously becoming, very popular. It's something that is, becoming more and more leveraged, and we're seeing customers wanting to use that as part of our SIA solution, and so that's something that we provide here. Okay, so last feature that we're introducing with this release is our new dynamic routing VNF. This is actually built leveraging our service insertion architecture. So the way to think about it is that this is leveraging the container model, but with a fully distributed data plane. So what is important here to know is that we support RHEL, OSPF, and BGP, so we support all the major routing protocols. And what we've done is we have integrated Quagga control plane as part of our framework. Now, this is not something that we will necessarily, go and, discuss in details with a customer. This becomes, at all effects, a PLUMgrid DNF. We make the data plane fully distributed. The use cases for this are, the ability to obviously support all these routing protocols within a virtual domain. It's the ability to interact with the physical infrastructure, doing peering with routers running physical infrastructure. And then, some of you have probably configured static routes within our PLUMgrid routers many times. So these obviously take care of that. So we make the configuration fully automated. So this is brand new and can be used in conjunction with static routers within the same virtual domain. And you can have as many routers as you want. It's fully highly available and fully distributed. So this was the last slide that I had. We have a couple of minutes left, and I see there's a question. So what is the difference between SIA and legacy appliance connector? We are just really cleaning up some of that. So the appliance connector will still be there. You see with 3.1, what happens now is that we have built a workflow where you can onboard the virtual appliance through OpenStack. So making it more OpenStack friendly. I know Noara-san, who brought up the question, was familiar with our integration for VMware. That's something that we have had, for a while. We have now done completed integration for OpenStack, so made it part of the workflow, fully automated the onboarding of the virtual machines as part of the virtual appliances as part of OpenStack. And then the appliance connector will still be how it gets rendered on the PLUMgrid user interface. I hope that answers the Hara-san question. Yes?
It was asked, which version can we use this, the SIA?
Yeah, so just to dip back into old version numbers. So the SIA is coming in version 4.1.0, and for ONS that maps to
3.1.
Yeah, 3.1. So, and that's coming, as Valentina mentioned earlier, towards the second half of April. So we're about 4 weeks away from that coming out on ONS.
Great. Then I'll say let's wrap it up. And if there's any additional question, obviously feel free to reach out to any of us, and we will help you in any way possible. Again, thanks a lot for joining us.